This is going to be a quick guide for what is different about speedrunning current patch. So what I recommend you do for this guide is go watch Shay's Undertale neutral speedrunning guide, which I have put in the description, and then once you're done, come back and watch this, and I will tell you what's different. So, the first difference is the language. Current patch supports Japanese, so you want to make sure your language is Japanese because it'll make things much faster. Alright, the next difference is the input system. So this is current patch, and the problem with current patch is that in order to press a button, that button has to be released for a frame. So you can see if I press enter and then Z right away, after I've closed the text box, fourth time, you can see I pressed enter and Z and it just did not register the second Z press. Whereas if I go on to current patch, old patch, with the same sign, I can do that. I can press enter and then I can press Z right after and it'll still work. So that input difference is the main thing of why current patch speedruns are so different from old patch. The first thing is it means mashing is way harder, but the second thing is that it doesn't allow you to do a glitch called an overflow. In Shay's guide, he goes over what overflows are and how to do them. But the thing you have to know is that if you're running on current patch, you cannot do overflows. So what that means is that anytime Shay says, okay, in order to do this skip, you have to do an overflow, you just can't do that skip for the most part. There are a couple of exceptions, which are what I'm going to be going over. First, though, I'd like to cover seagrass skip. So, seagrass skip, because of that input difference, it's a lot more difficult. I'm going to get set up for it. The setup's the same. It's the same setup as the one Shay covered. Alright, so it's a lot more difficult because, like I said, you have to release enter for a full frame and then press Z in order for it to register. So I'm going to try to do it. I'm not super practiced with this version of seagrass skip, so I might not get it. So I got it there, but the point still stands that it's a lot more difficult. It is still possible, however. Alright, let me grab the punch card real fast, and I'll go to our next talking point, which is Mad Dummy Skip. So, for Mad Dummy Skip, that is a new skip that was discovered after Shay recorded its guide. I don't know why I keep saying it instead of him. I think it's because I'm talking about Mad Dummy Skip. Anyway, after Shay recorded their guide, there was Mad Dummy Skip. And the thing about Mad Dummy Skip is that you don't have to worry about it. Because it needs an overflow, you can't do it on current patch, so don't worry about it. So the next thing we're covering is lab skip. So Shay teaches a really consistent and nice strategy for lab skip where you you do an overflow and then you use the text storage you get to do the skip. Unfortunately, we can't do that, so we have to do that the old way, which is with just a punch card skip. So you get to the right pixel, which is this pixel right here, and I can tell based on this line, frisk feet being just past that is the cue that I use to tell when I'm doing, when I'm in the right spot for lab skip. So you just open the punch card like you would with any other normal punch card skip, and then you're good to go. Alright, the next thing is the pan. So, on old patch, you can overflow the pan to get the apron if you need that extra armor for Asgore. On current patch, you can't do that, so your two options are to either grab the stained apron normally or the heart locket normally. The heart locket is a little bit faster because you go in that room anyway for Magolor, but the stained apron is better. It's a better healing item, so it's up to you which one you want to do, or if you just want to do Asgore without any kind of armor, that's an option as well. But you can't do the quick strat where you overflow the pan like you would in old patch. Alright, next room that is different is jetpack skip. This is the big one. I'm going to grab a save because jetpack skip's actually fairly annoying on this version. So what I like to do, you have to do a normal punch card skip, but you don't have any You don't have any visibility, so there's no visual cues you can use. So what I like to do is I like to count 3 steps and then open the punch card. And then just start buffering right, and eventually you'll hit the trigger. And then you go to the right until the lights turn on, and then you mash away the text. And that is the skip that you can do. And then from here, it's just normal. Optimal is to get hit 5 times, but I recommend not worrying about that and just trying to get hit as little as possible, because this can be slightly difficult your first couple of times through. So I'm going to speed this up because it doesn't matter. And I'm actually going to get hit a ton of times just because I'm speeding it up, but it's not a huge deal. Okay. Mash it away. The other thing, there's a wrong warp here that you can do. I guess I don't know how to do current pass wrong warps. It's a pretty small wrong warp. I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then there's also a wrong warp you can do here. And that's the pixel for that one. Okay, so the next thing is you have your menu back. Normally, after doing this skip, you would not have your menu back and you'd have to go get it. But since you're on current patch, and you did only the partial version of the skip, you have your menu normally. The next thing is elevators. So normally, you would overflow an elevator. You can't do overflows, but there is an actual alternate style of overflows that only works on a couple of different text boxes throughout the game. Luckily, those text boxes include all the elevator text boxes. So the alternative version of overflow is you press C and Z at the same time, and then you use the punch card, and that'll let you get the overflow. I screwed it up there, so let me try again. So C and Z at the same time, and then use the punch card. And then, if I can do the menuing right, you just go directly up to right floor 2. And then you can do that on all of the elevators, including the long elevator. Okay, other things to mention. Magolor skip. Shay shows 2 variants. You have to do the one that doesn't have the overflow. And then keyboard versus controller. You can use a keyboard on all console versions of Undertale, and it is slightly faster because it allows you to wall hump, which can be useful in a couple of different situations, but it is not that big of a deal if you're running on controller. It's like frames every time. I want to make sure I've covered everything else. Yes, I believe I have. So go watch Shay's guide, go watch this video, and then you should be good to start running current patch neutral.